Hey guys, welcome to this video. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you are a regular here, please hit the like button. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button. I'm trying something different, put it that way. If you have been here already, you might see my podcasts like Sunday Sermon with Ola, or even the one I do with Fumbi, Boys Quarter podcast, and maybe some of my stand-up and other bits here and there. But I'm going to be checking out a video that was sent to me by Mr. Gussie. Shout out to you, bro. This is from the Steve Harvey Show. We're going to check it out. I'm going to just give my thoughts and opinions as we watch it. And I'd love to hear yours in the comment section down below. So please do feel free to chime in. And make sure you use the timestamps to make it clear which part you're talking about. Let's not waste any time, man. There's no time to waste time. Let's go.
Hey, Steve. I've been dating this guy on and off for 3 years. And during a break that he initiated, I ended up meeting a new guy. So I was apprehensive at first about going on the date with a new guy. But my family and friends convinced me to go ahead on this date. So,
all right, first of all, already there, I'm thinking, what kind of spiritual bondage are you in that somebody puts you on a break and you meet somebody else that could be there, you don't want to check them out? I don't know. I understand people have emotional bonds to people, but you know, this person hasn't committed to you, so why are you committing to them? That's my first thought anyway. But
I did, and me and the guy actually have a lot in common. He treats me very well, and we've been seeing each other now for about a couple of months or so. The problem is that now, since I'm moving on with my...
Okay, first of all, we ain't gonna even go is no one gonna say something about Steve's suit? I know he's old school, man. Steve Harvey is, some people don't know this, but Steve Harvey is the first comedian who made me cry laughing. I watched him on Original Kings of Comedy when I was a teenager. My friend gave me the DVD, and he opened up and did this joke about black people if we were on the Titanic. And he turned over the table as like a little lifeboat, opened up the napkin and started blowing into it. I died laughing. So trust me, I'm not here to just mock Steve Harvey, but are we not going to say anything about the suit? No? No, alright. My bad. Alright.
life and trying to find some happiness. Now my ex is coming back and he's ready to commit. Like, really? Like, now? So
I love she's already like, look, I mean, we all know the story. That's why she's already shaking her head, because anyway, let's let it play a bit more before I get into it.
the question for you is, should I go with team old, my ex, team new, the new guy, or just be
Let
team
me ask you a
through?
couple questions
So,
about the ex.
yeah.
How would you describe him?
He's a little selfish. Yeah, he is. I'm more of the giver in the relationship, and he goes on these little breaks when he doesn't get his way.
Whoa. He-
I love how they go to these audience reactions, because that just looked like somebody's auntie, like, whoo, all right, if you must. Yeah, she's already described him as selfish, and I think that's great insight. We'll keep going.
Good looking dude.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
That's how they do. You know. Cute ass dudes I can't stand. Can't stand pretty ass men. It make me sick. So ladies, I say that.
First of all, Steve's funny, so I know he's making a joke there. But there is some truth to it, right? When you are good looking, you have more options. You get away with nonsense. I know this because I've caught myself in previous parts of my life giving people a pass based on how they look. It's just what we call pretty privilege. It exists. It's out there. It doesn't mean it's right, though. But it's real. It happens. And maybe the true test of how good looking you are is how much rubbish you get away with. It's just maybe something to consider.
There's all kinds of ways. I hate repeating myself on this show sometimes, but you know, you've heard that faith comes from hearing, not from having heard. What that simply means is, how many times you remember back your mother told you something over and over and over, and it didn't hit you till later on, then all of a sudden it made sense. Because faith comes from hearing, not from having heard. You heard it, but you got to hear it at a right time for it to make sense. That's what I'm saying to you.
I know it sounds like he really just said something, but really and truly, man, we have memory for a reason. You know, sometimes you get a word in season, but like if you if you're a Christian anyway, and you learn something scripturally, the Bible says the Holy Spirit can bring to your remembrance the word that's already been placed in your heart. So I think it's more an indication of just stubbornness, really, and not really treasuring some of these words that we hear enough. I don't think we should have to hear it over and over again, the same words anyway. But I understand that that's kind of human nature. I know that I can be stubborn and goat-headed as well.
So now, this off again, on again period. Yeah. Let me ask you something. You can help me prove this point. When y'all in the off period, what is he doing?
Supposedly focusing on getting himself together, like work and things like that, but he's probably talking to other women, I'm sure.
Yeah, we don't do that. Let me tell you something about men. We don't do off. If we off with you, we on with somebody else. Exactly. We don't do off. Exactly. We don't need time to go gather ourselves. Exactly. We get over you with another you.
Yeah, this is where Steve starts with the nonsense, man. He is 100% right about some people. And I can't even say that it's the majority. I don't know. To be honest, I don't 100% know if it's the majority or not. But what I do know is I know quite a few guys who will take time to be by themselves. And I think sometimes, and this is just in general, when you're making these kind of comments about men and women, there's a need to generalize to a certain extent. But I think it's dangerous because what it does mean is that sometimes without the caveat, it can be seen as almost like a universal truth that men don't ever just take time out to themselves. Men just are constantly going from one woman to another. I know that's the case for a lot of men. And I know that it's the case for some men during certain periods. But there are times where really just like falling back and being by yourself is actually the way.
Men, we this way. We got to go up in the mountains and pull it together.
Men have literally gone up into the mountains to go and pull it together. Like, this is a thing. For faith reasons, for spiritual reasons. That's literally where the idea comes from. It's from men doing it. Women haven't tended throughout history and our stories and our our faith narratives to be the ones to climb mountains, to get away from everything. It's actually been men. Jesus was known to take time away to go and pray. Moses was known to go and meet the Lord on the mountain. So I don't actually know where Steve's going with this one.
Go camping and go see somebody. So now, let's talk about this new guy that came along.
He's a giver. We actually go out on more dates. Actually, my ex, he supposedly more of a homebody, let him tell it, but that's a whole nother story. So yeah, me and this guy, we go on dates, we see each other frequently, and like I said, on paper now, I must say on paper he looks good. When I say that is that he's a businessman, he's a giver, he's more into my needs.
Pay attention here. Pay attention here.
And about pleasing me, but the only issues too is like we don't know each other that well. So it's only been a couple of months, so I don't know if I should throw away someone that I have known for.
Okay. Let's just talk about this term you said. Okay. You don't know if you should throw away. Throw away what?
Well, yeah,
you talking about the one that initiated the break?
Yeah.
You talking about the dude that's self-centered and selfish? Yeah. You talking about the homebody?
Yeah.
So let me ask you, what is this that you don't want to throw away?
Very good question. What is it that you don't want to throw away? It's amazing to me, and I think he's probably going to go in a slightly different direction from me. I'm going to let him land, but I think it's amazing to me sometimes how we make our decisions. as humans. I just think we aren't always as smart as we think we are. That's all I'll say for now. I think we show that time and time again we have flawed decision making processes, and sometimes it is good to go through this kind of process to say it out loud, because sometimes you get a chance to realize how ridiculous you sound, and that's a useful source of accountability, is to explain your thinking to somebody.
You're right. You're right.
See, I just want you to help somebody. Because now, ladies, I hear this all the time. And see, ladies, you got to remember something now. You all keep looking at the time you have invested with a man, and you don't want that time to be wasted.
Yeah, true.
The question you really got to have yourself, ask yourself, do I want 8 more years of this?
No.
Very, very real. Very, very real. Steve is right. I agree with Steve on this. You can't always look at it like, well, I've put 5 years in, so I have to see it through. You have to ask yourself, do I want 5 more years of this? And especially at this point where there is no commitment, there's no marriage here, you have to ask yourself what it is that you're actually committed to. And, there's a big part I think he's not addressing, which is what allowed you to do this cycle over and over again to get to this point in the first place. And how do you fix that to stop doing it with somebody else over and over again until you get to another point where you're upset and then go and do it with somebody else? What is it within you that stuck around for this?
Because it ain't finna change. If it's been off and on, if it's been toxic, if he's been selfish, he been selfish the whole time.
Yeah.
He not finna become generous. He off and on. He ain't finna be on and cracking. That ain't what he finna do. Now, the question is, should you take a chance
On the new person.
on the new guy who you really don't know that well?
Everybody loves the new guy. But here's the thing. Throughout this whole time, I haven't heard her speak about the new guy with any real enthusiasm, which is what I want to address. I want to address, why is it that your heart seems to be with the one who you say mistreats you, but you have a perfectly good person in front of you here, and there seems to be much less enthusiasm. And I would hazard a guess that it's the answer is the exact same thing that kept you in that situation for the first place, going back and forth with the same person. I would hazard a guess that maybe just maybe, that who you have chosen to be with is a reflection of something in you. Maybe you like some turmoil, and maybe the idea of finding a guy who's good on paper doesn't excite you and you prefer excitement. Maybe that's part of your flawed decision-making process. Maybe you prioritize excitement and fun and the devil above doing what's right. Now, every so often I'll say this on someone's pod or whatever about how we need to bring arranged marriages back, and sometimes I say it tongue-in-cheek, but I think there's some wisdom to this. I genuinely believe that you need to involve other people in your process. I think the whole process of putting everybody out in this free and open dating market has just left so many people open to the wolves. And I think in a case where, for example, a father was vetting the person you're dating, there would be less room for this kind of on and off, play with your heart, back and forth kind of situation. Because usually there's a man who doesn't fall for all the sentiment involved, and also who you can get away with that with. And in an attempt to become free and liberated, I think women have often cast down some of the protections that were in place for them. And that's why I'm not surprised when women say they don't feel protected. Protect black women, protect women. Well, these are some of the ways in which you were protected. You would have a father to make sure that people don't get to necessarily play around with your heart, but that might also require you to submit to his authority when you feel like you could possibly do better yourself, or you feel like you're grown, which is tough. There's trade-offs.
Stop clapping yet. It ain't time yet. This question is for her. Don't worry about them. Here's what you should do. the he wants back because I don't know if you know this about men, but men, as stupid as we are, we can sit.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop you right there. Whenever you got a guy who starts off talking to you, women, this is something that I think you should take into account. To all my sisters in the congregation, when you have a man who speaks to you as though men are stupid and men are simple, and I'm not saying simple in terms of simplicity, I mean simple in terms of foolish. Be wary. Be wary. Because he's not helping you develop the kind of mindset that's going to help you find and respect a man that you actually care about. He's slowly putting into your mind the idea that most men are actually stupid, right? And men love to play this. The reason why men love to play it is because it makes you believe that if he can point it out, he's the honest, truthful person. Because he's willing to spill the beans on men. He's the one that's revealed that men are stupid. So what happens is, those men who say things like this, and I'm not even going to go into like pick me's and simps and all of these kind of terms and so on. I'm just saying, in real terms, a man who tells women that men are stupid manages to keep for himself an abundance of female attention. And the clever thing about it is, by telling women that men are stupid, the women start to look at him like he's wise. Men are not stupid. I'm sorry if that doesn't help. And I'm sorry if that doesn't tickle your ears. But men aren't stupid. There are stupid men, yes. But there are a lot of wise men. There are a lot of cunning men. There are a lot of clever men. There are a lot of evil geniuses. And there are a lot of genuine, benevolent geniuses amongst us who are men. And I think what sometimes a figure like Steve Harvey becomes is everybody's boyfriend, right? So a lot of women look to him for their guidance, for their discipline, for their admiration, and he becomes everybody's boyfriend. He's not there with you, he's not walking with you, he's not dealing with your nonsense, but he can be the idealized wise man that you wish you had in your life. I think one of the things that's always been very clear to me is that whether I'm doing stand-up or whatever it is, my ideal is to point you back to the guy who cares about you, the guy who wants to see you happy, the guy who wants to do life with you. And I'm not going to help you in doing that by telling you that he's actually stupid. It's more important for me that you believe he's wise so that you can actually form something helpful and healthy with him. Something to be aware of, anyway.
It's two things. We can sense when you ain't really the same. If you ain't begging us back, we can sense that. We can sense another dog sniffing around the dog house. We can sense that. And then also remember this is the spiritual side of it. Yeah. Anytime God has something for you, the devil's job is to provide opposition.
Yeah.
I love the fact that as soon as you start talking that spiritual topic, like, yep, without fully investigating what you said. Now, he is correct. It's often the enemy's plan to try and disrupt what God has for you. I do agree. But also, you do have to realize that sometimes when someone drops a narrative like that, it sounds good to you because it puts you in a position of no responsibility. And this is where being close to God and being obedient comes into play. We need to be able to discern between whether it's their enemy, which everyone loves to blame, it's the devil wants to distract me, or maybe it's you. Maybe it's you and your fleshly carnal desires that keep sending you back to the wrong place. Maybe you've been sleeping with this guy. And so the enjoyment of the sex has had you consistently going back to a situation that didn't work out. Maybe you actually enjoy the emotional turmoil of chasing a guy and wondering what he's doing and let me text him and blah, blah, blah. And the guy who's actually out for you and cares about you, wants to fill your needs, actually bores you. And that's the worst thing you can do to a woman is make her bored. Oh my goodness, they'll forgive cheating before they forgive boredom.
Oh, you nice lady and everything. He been hearing your prayer. Yeah. Then he present the new thing.
And how do you know she's a nice lady? This is what I'm saying. This is where the pandering side comes in. This is where it's like, come on, Steve, man. You've put all kinds of labels on this guy. You've heard this story one-sided, and now you've decided she's a nice lady. Maybe she's not. Maybe she deserves all the toxicity. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not saying she does. I'm just saying maybe. We don't know. We don't have that information.
Well, here come the old thing.
Yeah.
Don't it always work this way? Yeah. So now we just got a simple decision to make. Yeah. And all you got to do, instead of worrying about throwing away something that you don't have anyway, and throwing away something that you don't want, let's look at going into a phase of your life where, hey, look, I'm going to care about me instead of everybody else.
True.
I'm going to see what this man can do and put him on a probation period. Okay. That's all it is. I wrote a book and I called it the 90-Day Rule.
There you go. There you go. Oh, the consummate professional. I love it. I love it. I love the game. I love this game. Oh, it's wonderful. It's masterful. After you've told her she's lovely, focus on you, you're amazing, you deserve better, then you hit them with the book. I need to learn. I'm not making enough money in this life. I need to learn, man. One of these days, I might have something to sell you, look.
The reason the 90-day rule, I told women, before you give a man anything, wait at least 90 days. Well, Steve, he might go somewhere else. Let him go. If a man leave you in 90 days, he didn't want you no way. He wanted something from you. Put him.
I actually agree with that part. I don't think you should throw everything up front. And I think the way I tend to put it is not really about the 90 days. I don't think there's a time frame on it. I think it's more a case of let your intimacy match your commitment. If you guys are ready to get married within 3 months of meeting each other, then sure, you can start having sex with one another after you get married. But if you're not willing to make the commitment, you shouldn't have that level of intimacy. And that goes with everything. So I don't think you should just be, opening your heart up to somebody you just met. Because they're not really committed to you. If they walk away from this and you feel your heart's been ripped out your chest after you opened up to this person, well, then you were way too exposed. That's what I genuinely believe. So I think this not just applies to sex or anything like that. It's just let your commitment match your intimacy. That's what I believe anyway. But, it does kind of help to weed out those who are looking for something from you as opposed to looking for you in general. But don't underestimate the ability of some of these ninja brothers who will stick around for that pumps.
On the probation period, in the meantime, go out and enjoy your life. Get you some dates and everything.
And why is going out and getting some dates always the enjoyment? That's the problem as well. Maybe getting and enjoying your life is going to go and help the needy. What about you go and help your niece with her homework? Why has it always got to be go get some dates and so on? And this is the part of the madness as well. They always make that seem like it's just all a fun and recreational activity as if it doesn't have any impact.
And you might find out God done sent him to you.
Okay, thank you.
And then randomly you throw in God at the end. God will send him to you, right? No responsibility, no being held accountable. Just go out and have fun and God will figure it all out. You got to love it, man, and buy my book. Oh my goodness, you got to love it. I've sold a DVD before. I sold it on the basis of if you like my stand-up, you might want to buy my DVD. And even then, I feel a bit icky. Like, I always make a joke, like, it's not even that funny, but you don't realize until you get home. And I don't know if that's the Britishness in me that doesn't want to oversell, or whether it's just my style. But yeah, that was shameless, man. Look, I'll wrap this up by saying we always love to come into these kind of situations and hear about how we've been done wrong. And sometimes that's important, so that allows us to not normalize being treated poorly, but also we have to take a certain amount of responsibility for what it is in us that is attracted to dysfunction, what it is in us that tolerates and actually sometimes seeks out dysfunction. Because if you don't resolve that, you're doomed to repeat the same situation in the same cycle. So I think Steve Harvey, I'm not somebody to throw Steve Harvey away, but at the same time, I think it can be damaging without the other side of the equation, and so we need some balance. If you enjoy my content, please do hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you for joining the congregation over here. Every single brother and sister is appreciated, and catch me on the next one, man. Peace.